Hello everyone and welcome back. In this video I'm going to educate you on the Baker Act and specifically the ability, or frankly lack of ability, to expunge and or seal a Baker Act record. And these calls typically come in when somebody finds out shortly after they were Baker Acted that the Florida Department of Law Enforcement has basically taken away their right, suspended their Second Amendment right to carry, own, possess a firearm. And it's really frustrating. So let me tell you how it works in the criminal world, and then we'll talk about Baker Act. So in the criminal world, depending on the charge, on the case, were you arrested, were you prosecuted, were you convicted, all of that stuff, there is a statute in place which, under certain circumstances, can be used to either expunge, in other words, remove the record completely, or just seal it. In other words, sort of placing some form of protection around it, meaning it's not available from the public. Nobody can go into the clerk's office or go online and actually look at the record. And it's a beautiful thing. When it comes to the Baker Act, there is no such statute. There is no way for us to sort of expunge it or seal it. There's just no statute that provides that. And I've tried different things to see if we could get that process moving, because we get a lot of those calls. And as I've said in other videos, I've had a family member Baker Acted, so I know how frustrating this whole process can be. But the reason that there's no process is because it's supposed to be confidential. But like any privilege, right, specifically the privilege of confidentiality, it's not absolute. What does that mean? Well, it means certainly the Florida Department of Law Enforcement is probably going to find out about this. It also means that if there's a background check, right, it's probably going to be found. If you're applying to go into the military, it's probably going to be found. And unfortunately, and as frustrating as this is, there's nothing I can do about this. I wish I could tell you otherwise. It's frustrating for me too not to be able to help you with this one particular issue. Now, if it has to do with your Second Amendment right, we can challenge that and we can petition the court to have the firearm disability removed so you get your Second Amendment right reinstated. But other than that, whatever's there is going to be there forever. I'm sorry to tell you that, which is one of the reasons of many that I say in every video, you should fight like hell to get out. I mean, if you're going to be labeled with this thing, better to be out in a day than 7 days. Better to have a court order that says, the judge made a finding that you were illegally held, or something to that effect. Or better to have a situation where you hired a lawyer and the facility said, we're not going to deal with Astor and his firm because, well, this is clearly an illegal case and we don't want to deal with the aggravation of having to explain ourselves. That's my 2 cents. And, as you know from other videos, bad things happen to people in Baker Act facilities. People get assaulted. They get traumatized. Just the most horrible things happening. So no reason for you to sit there. You should fight like hell as soon as you've been detained. And I don't care even if arguably the detention was legal. There are other alternatives, if you understand the Baker Act, to being stuck in one of these lockdown state facilities. So that's my 2 cents on the expungement and sealing, or lack thereof, when it comes to the Baker Act. If you have any comments or questions or concerns, please post them. I read all of them. I typically respond within 24 hours. And I'll do the best I can to give you a response. If you liked the video, I would love a thumbs up. Please subscribe to our channel. And with that said, I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.